Hey everyone, Internet Vicious Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about My Broken Mariko by Wakahirako. My Broken Mariko, the manga, is a collection of short stories. It's a really good story, but unfortunately it is a bit too underrated, I think, because manga unfortunately is a bit too dominated by teenage action genres. So I want to highlight this story. I'll start with the bonus story first, the second one, because it's much shorter. The second story, Yiska, starts with a white man who took a bag of money from a car. The passenger is definitely dead. A kid found him and he asked for a passenger to go to the border unnoticed for a price of $10,000. The kid's name is Denton. The man's name is Tyler. Denton in the city is known as the Little Redskin, whose job is to sell junk for cheap in one of the places in the city, while Tyler works for a group of murderous gang. On his last job, he was sent to kill a family of activists, but their son was there and he couldn't finish the job, or more specifically, he cannot do the job anymore, so he left. Together, they both went on a journey to the border where they formed some sort of bond between mentor and mentee. Meanwhile, the gang, recognizing that Tyler has betrayed them, went after him. They clash at the end of the story where Tyler had to kill his own family in order to save Denton. Denton revealed his true name, which is Yiska. And that's where the story ends. There's a team of trash adult and an unlucky kid in the story. Tyler might or might not survive from his wound, but the unlucky kid in the story, Denton, not only survived, but he also learned how to spell his name, earned $10,000, and some lessons from Tyler before they each went on their own way. Unfortunately, in the main story, My Broken Mariko, the unlucky kid in the story doesn't have as much luck. Tomoya Shino was in the middle of her lunch break on some random ramen shop when the TV announced her best friend's name, Mariko Ikigawa, who was found dead after she fell from her 4th floor apartment after ingesting tons of sleeping pills. That is the opening of the book, and that won't be the only trigger warning that this book have, so viewer discretion in advance. Tomoya was disappointed that there's not much that she can do to help her best friend, not much that she can do now that she's dead. When a thought popped up on her head, her ashes, Mariko's ashes, she can still save her. The storytelling went back and forth between the present and when Tomoya first met Mariko. Tomoya first met Mariko on their school rooftop. Tomoya, a laid-back girl smoking alone as a schoolgirl, and Mariko, a girl with bruises on her face. They somehow become best friends, and when Tomoya and Mariko made a promise to watch fireworks together, Tomoya found out about the abusive household Mariko lives in, alone with her garbage of a father. Tomoya decided that even if she cannot save her best friend from that house when she was alive, she should at least be able to save her ashes, so she's not trapped in that house with the dad that has done unforgivable thing to his own daughter. Tomoya went to Mariko's house and managed to trick the new wife of the house to let her in. Where seeing Mariko's altar, she lunged at her ashes. The dad attacked Tomoya while being held back by his wife, and that's when Tomoya pulled out her knife, slashing his arm while mentioning all the things that he did to Mariko. How he, out of anyone, does not have the right to mourn for Mariko. Tomoya escaped by jumping out of the house into the river, bringing Mariko's ashes. In her life, Mariko don't get to go outside because her dad won't allow her to, but now as ashes, Tomoya can take her wherever she wanted. But after taking Mariko for a walk the whole day, she doesn't know where Mariko ever want to go. She never left any last message to Tomoya, and already her memories of her friend are fading. In desperation, she remembered a memory of being dazzled at Mariko when she said she wanted to go to Marigaoka Cave. She ran to an overnight bus to Marigaoka. Almost as soon as she arrived there, her bag got snatched, including all the money she had. A strange stranger she met at Marigaoka lent her some money that she used immediately at a nearby bar. The next morning, she arrived at Marigaoka Cave bringing Mariko's ashes, but she still had no idea why she was there. Tired, sleep-deprived, injured, traumatized, drunk, and grieving. In this part of the story, memories and hallucinations started to mix together in the story, and she was about to do something stupid when the stranger that helped her earlier saved her again. They were struggling when they heard a scream for help. The bag snatcher from earlier was chasing after a little girl. Remembering Mariko's cry for help, Tomoya grabbed the nearest thing, Mariko's ashes, and she smacked the bag snatcher with it, spreading Mariko's ashes in Marigaoka Cave. The story ends with Tomoya going back home with some minor injuries. She opened a package that was left at her door. In it, she saw Mariko's letter to her, possibly Mariko's last letter. And My Broken Mariko ends with Tomoya figure clutching at the letter. My Broken Mariko is a very short story, But even with how short it contains a tragedy in it that a lot of long-running stories fail to do. Between all these vulnerable scenes where the character shows a lot of emotion, there were moments of tenderness that reminds us about the human aspect of the story, and this moment of tenderness also gave us glimpses of what could have happened, a happier place for Mariko, a possibility that is haunting exactly because they can never happen. Maybe the dead new wife came sooner, maybe Tomoya could have rented a place where she can live together with Mariko, maybe Tomoya is an adult that could have saved Mariko from her father instead of a helpless middle schooler. Because that is what the tragedy is, it is a loss of possibility, a loss of potential, of what could have happened. And this emotion is strengthened by having two stories with similar elements where we got to see an entirely different trajectory between the two characters Yiska and Mariko. Yiska doesn't have his parents, but he lives in some kind of a free world where he can sell junk and learn in his own independent time. Meanwhile, Mariko lives in a world where her father did some unspeakable thing to her on daily basis. Some of the things he did to his own daughter, YouTube won't like it if I say it straight. Let's just say that Tomoya is right when she said that if there's a person who doesn't get to act all sad and mournful for Mariko's passing, it's this that. Yiska himself did not really have a happy-go-lucky life. That's why he's looking for junks and helping strangers cross border undetected. It is hinted in the story that he was abandoned by his father, his parents, because he's a child and a burden to them. Both Yiska and Mariko character have that theme about how every children deserve a parent, but not all parents deserve a children. Both Yiska and Mariko has even mentioned how they wish the one person in the story they form a connection with is their parents. But if Yiska had his luck turned around because of his encounter with Tyler, the same couldn't be said about Mariko. Mariko met Tomoya, and as they become friends, Tomoya struggled with all her might to save Mariko. Tomoya even found a guy who abused Mariko in a relationship with a frying pan. But because in her life, Mariko still lives with her dad, the trust that each and every day tells her that she is broken, most likely so she will believe that nobody but her abuser will accept a person like her. It's a common tactic that an abuser likes to do, so the abuse becomes attached to them. And that whisper cut itself deeper and deeper until it is rooted in Mariko that she is such a person. And as time goes on, this belief of her own brokenness broke Mariko even further. So much so that she goes to a guy who broke her arm because she believed that she deserved that. She believed that her dad abused her because of her. She believed she deserved the beating she's taken. She believed she got hit because of her own fault. She believed that the assault that she got is because she tempted them. We don't know why Mariko is gone. Maybe because she believed that even Tomoya will someday leave her, especially once Tomoya get a job and started to become more busy to meet her. But nevertheless, she is gone, as of now. The story of my broken Mariko might be too depressing and too dark with just that, but despite scums that blame their own weaknesses to Mariko, so she believed that what she did is her fault and not their fault, there are still good people surrounding the story. Tomoya herself is a really good friend. The woman who is the second wife of that trash of a father is a good person. The stranger that Tomoya met in Marigaoka is a good person. The story keeps reminding us that there are good people, despite the vile people that would love to act all powerful so they can have an easier life by belittling other people, other Marikos. There are good people like Tomoya, who really wanted to save Mariko, who wish for Mariko's happiness. My Broken Mariko is a precious manga, despite of how short it is and how underrated it is. It's the kind of story that you will clutch near your heart like Mariko's last letter. I give this a 4.5. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.